Yo, welcome to another video. Whether you're a newcomer looking to learn about the dominant PvE metas that make the game cheesy, or a seasoned pilot eager to stay ahead of the game, this video is for you. Today, we uncover the top 5 PvE loadouts that make the game way too cheesy from start to finish. Let's dive in. Before we start, quick heads up. In this video, it's all about the weapons, not the ACs. Mix and match and find what suits your style. The beauty of these loadouts is that you can pair them with the AC of your choice and or mix and match between them. For example, you could rock a Hubin and a pile bunker with a needle launcher and a turret. With that out of the way, let's start with our number 5 on the list. At number 5, a lightweight loadout designed for up-close combat. 2 Zimmermann shotguns in the front for stagger and damage, complemented by 2 Sunbirds in the back for insane damage output. Not only does it hit hard, but it is also an easy to learn playstyle. Initially, this build was top 2 since the game came out, but with the nerfs, I feel like it fell off a bit. Don't get me wrong, it is still insanely strong, which is why it's on the list. It could easily be debated for a higher spot. The playstyle is simple. You should be within 100 meters of your enemy and rotate between the shotgun shots. Follow up with the Sunbirds for insane burst damage when the enemy is stunned. Alternatively, you can open up with the Sunbirds for insta stagger and do damage with the shotguns. Overall, the loadout is well-rounded. Shotguns are great for light targets and the Sunbirds for bigger ones. The damage potential is easily one of the strong features of this loadout. It is an insane setup, which ties to the next point. Despite its massive damage output, this loadout can be used with a lightweight build, allowing seamless integration with light frames and creating a truly unique playstyle. Let's take a look at the parts that you can use with this potential build. Moving along, at number 4, we have a lightweight setup that thrives in close quarter combat. Front units armed with 2 warrior shotguns for consistent stagger, backed up by 2 VP60 laser cannons for damage on more stagger in the back. The strengths here: consistent damage, the spammability of this build, and the energy firearm specialization for that extra damage. This build was not planned to be top 5, but it really surprised me how well it flows together. It can decimate anything with the laser cannon spam, which are in my opinion very underrated. Ideally, you should be within 100 meters of your opponent for god tier tracking. Open up with the shotgun rotation to keep the stagger build up and spam both laser cannons in between each rotation. Once the opponent is staggered, go for a charged melee shot for an absurd amount of damage, but if your cannons are not on cooldown, go for a charged cannon shot for an even better damage. Overall, the laser cannon spam is the star of the show. They do insane damage in stagger buildup, so keep spamming them up. The loadout is also well-rounded. Shotguns are used for light targets and the laser cannons for bigger ones. The NGI generator works well with this build since you can exhaust your energy to get it back faster, and it allows the shotguns to do more damage with the energy firearm specialization. Let's take a look at the parts that you can use with this potential build. Moving along, at number 3, medium weight powerhouse designed for up-close encounters. Front units use a needle gun for stagger and a KRSV for both damage and additional stagger. In the back, we've got 1 Fasan and 1 VP60 laser cannon for added firepower. The strengths: great burst damage, a perfect balance between front and back units, and those back units really know how to bring the pain. This build gets the job done. You should be within 100 meters of your enemy for better tracking. Open up with both cannons and keep an eye on them since they come back faster for more spam. Follow up with the needle gun spam and the KRSV shots in between. Keep the rotation. It is just a shredded machine. At times, you don't have to overthink it. You can just spam and it gets the job done. Overall, the loadout is well-rounded, the front units are used for light targets, and the cannons can be used for bigger ones. This loadout does a lot of damage, which is ideal for bosses and mini-bosses, and the fast attack is the shining star of this build. You can spam to your heart's content. Let's take a look at the parts that you can use with this potential build. Moving on to the heavyweights. If you enjoy crushing opponents up close, this one is a beast. The build rocks a warrior shotgun and a pile bunker melee, which is the start of the show, which does insane damage, backed up by 2 Morley rockets in the back for an insta stagger. It is a lethal combination that dominates close quarter combat. This build was originally one of my top 3 creative videos. It took me by surprise how well it worked out, to a point that if I just wanted to cheese a boss, I would always go back to it. Ideally, you should be in the face of your enemy to land both the Morley shots and instantly stagger the enemy. Follow up with a charged pile bunker shot for an absurd amount of damage. If one of the Morleys miss, you can rely on the shotgun to stun the opponent. Alternatively, you could also charge up the shotgun for a big burst of damage. The playstyle is a cycle of setups for your pile bunker one-tap potential. Overall, this loadout is so cheesy that you can skip some boss phases since you just one-tap the boss anyways. The booster of choice for this build is specifically chosen to not overshoot the enemy when you stun. The thrust is ideal to land right next to the enemy. At first, I was using a booster with a longer thrust, so whenever I stunned the enemy and I would boost to get close, I would overshoot them. That is why this booster is ideal, because most of the time when you stun an enemy and you boost, you're likely to be right next to them for your pile bunker shot. Let's take a look at the parts that you can use with this potential build. At number 1, the creme de la creme, the reigning champ, the Cuban Needle build, a heavyweight loadout that excels in close to medium range combat. 2 Cuban Gatling guns in the front for stagger and damage, and 2 needle launchers in the back for additional stagger and damage. The best part, it is an easy to learn playstyle, just requires you to hold down the W key. This build was number 1 and still is in my opinion, though I think it received some stealth nerfs, especially the Cubans, and they were not talked about. I don't think they feel the same as when the game came out. We know that the needle launchers received a little bit of a nerf, but still, nothing comes close to it. You can easily use this anywhere against any boss from the beginning of the game to the end. It just shreds, and I am surprised it has not gotten nerfed even more. It is clearly the most overpowered build in the entire game. Ideally, you should be up close within 100 meters of your enemy for god tier tracking. That will lead to you landing all of your shots. That is important because emptying a magazine staggers an enemy, so you don't want to be wasting shots. The playstyle is either you stagger with Cubans and follow up with the needle launchers, or the other way around. Overall, the Cubans melt ads, which is good for chill missions that don't have a boss, and the needle launchers can strip shields, which is great for missions that have mini bosses. And overall, both of them flow really well together. They can be used to do a mission with a boss, ads, whatever is in it. Not to mention, the potential damage for this build is the star for sure. You can do so much damage with this build, it's just that absurd. Let's take a look at the parts that you can use with this potential build. There you have it, the top 5 meta PvE loadouts in Armored Core 6. Whether you're new to the game or a day 1 player, these loadouts will keep you at the forefront of the action. Remember, the key is the weapons, so pair them up with your favorite ACs and hit the battlefield. Until next time, peace!